Have you ever heard of a hero's journey so epic it has everything? A stolen throne, a talking ship, fire-breathing bulls, an army of skeletons, and a powerful sorceress. Well, buckle up, because today we're diving into one of the greatest adventure stories ever told, the saga of Jason and the Argonauts. Our story begins in Iolcus, a kingdom in ancient Greece. The rightful king Aeson has been overthrown by his wicked half-brother Peleus. Fearing for his son's life, Aeson sends the young prince Jason away to be raised in secret by the wise centaur Chiron. For 20 years, Jason trains under Chiron, growing into a strong and capable young man, all while unaware of his royal lineage. On his journey, he comes across an old woman struggling to cross a raging river. In the process, he loses one of his sandals in the mud. Little does he know, this old woman is actually the goddess Hera in disguise. Impressed by his kindness, Hera vows to help him on his quest. When Jason arrives in Iolcus, he marches straight into the royal court. King Peleus looks down and sees the young man standing before him, bold and defiant, wearing only one sandal. The prophecy. Peleus is terrified, but he's also cunning. He can't just kill Jason outright, because that would anger the gods and the people. So he comes up with a plan. He feigns a warm welcome and promises Jason the throne, but on one condition. Jason must undertake an impossible quest, sail to the far-off land of Colchis and retrieve the legendary Golden Fleece. What is the Golden Fleece, you ask? It's the fleece of a magical golden-winged ram, and it's guarded by a fearsome, never-sleeping dragon, Peleus. Is certain Jason will never return, but Jason, full of youthful ambition, accepts the challenge without hesitation. Word of his quest spreads throughout Greece. The greatest heroes of the age, inspired by his bravery, flock to his side. This legendary crew includes the mighty Hercules, the swift-footed Atalanta, the musician Orpheus, the twin heroes Castor and Pollux, and many more. They are the Argonauts, named after their ship, the Argo, and the Argo isn't just any ship. It was built by the master craftsman Argus, with a special piece of timber from a sacred oak tree given by the goddess Athena. This piece of wood allows the ship to speak and offer prophecies. With their crew assembled and their miraculous ship ready, the Argonauts set sail. Their journey is fraught with peril. They face harpies, monstrous birdwomen who plague a blind king, and they navigate the Symplegades, a pair of clashing rocks that smash any ship attempting to pass between them. Jason, guided by Hera and his own wits, manages to overcome each obstacle. For the Symplegades, he releases a dove. The rocks clash, catching only its tail feathers, and as they rebound, the Argo rows through at full speed, barely making it to the other side. Finally, after a long and treacherous voyage, they arrive in Colchis. The king of Colchis, Aeetes, is not exactly rolling out the welcome mat. He's the son of the sun god Helios and a powerful man in his own right. He agrees to give Jason the fleece, but only if he can complete a series of impossible tasks. First, Jason must yoke 2 fire-breathing bulls with bronze hooves and plow a field with them. Then, he must sow that field with dragon's teeth, from which an army of stone warriors will spring. Jason is on the brink of despair. These tasks are beyond even his strength. But remember Hera. She's been watching over him. She persuades Aphrodite, the goddess of love, to intervene. Aphrodite sends her son Eros to shoot a golden arrow into the heart of Medea, King Aeetes' daughter. Medea is a powerful sorceress, a priestess of the goddess Hecate. The moment she lays eyes on Jason, she falls deeply and madly in love with him, torn between her love for Jason and her loyalty to her father. Medea chooses Jason. She secretly meets him and gives him a magical ointment that will protect him from the fire-breathing bulls. With its protection, Jason easily yokes the bulls and plows the field. As promised, when he sows the dragon's teeth, an army of warriors, the Spartoi, erupts from the earth. Jason has succeeded, but King Aeetes has no intention of keeping his promise. He plans to burn the Argo and kill the Argonauts that night. Medea warns Jason. She knows she can never go back home now, so she decides to help him one last time. She leads him to the sacred grove where the Golden Fleece hangs, guarded by the sleepless dragon. Using her magic and herbs, Medea lulls the great serpent to sleep. Jason snatches the Golden Fleece from the tree, and together they race back to the Argo, escaping Colchis with Medea and her younger brother Apsyrtus, just as the sun rises. King Aeetes is furious. He and his fleet pursue the Argo. What happens next is one of the darker parts of the myth. To slow her father down, Medea commits a terrible act, killing her own brother and scattering his remains in the sea. Aeetes, heartbroken, is forced to stop and collect the pieces of his son for a proper burial, allowing the Argo to escape. Their journey home is no easier than the one to Colchis. They are pursued by monsters and tormented by the gods for Medea's crime. But eventually, with the fleece in hand, they return to Iolcus. Jason presents the Golden Fleece to Peleus, fulfilling his end of the bargain. But the treacherous king still refuses to give up the throne. This is where Medea's power comes into play once more. She devises a cruel but effective plan. She demonstrates her magic to Peleus's daughters by cutting up an old ram, boiling it in a cauldron with magical herbs, and bringing it back to life as a young lamb. Eager to restore their father's youth, the daughters do as she says. They cut Peleus into pieces and boil him in the cauldron, but this time Medea withholds the magic herbs. Peleus is dead, and his own daughters are his unwitting murderers. Despite getting his revenge, Jason doesn't become king of Iolcus. The people are horrified by Peleus's death and banish both Jason and Medea. Their story continues in Corinth, where they live for 10 years and have 2 sons. But Jason's heroic nature fades. He grows restless and decides to abandon Medea to marry the Princess of Corinth, seeking a more secure political position. Her subsequent actions are the subject of another famous and tragic play, but let's just say it doesn't end well for anyone. Jason loses his new bride, his children, and his honor. He ends up a broken man, wandering alone. Years later, he returns to his old ship, the rotting Argo, to rest in its shadow. As he sleeps, a decaying beam falls from the masthead, killing him instantly. A lonely and unheroic end for the man who once led the greatest heroes of Greece on the adventure of a lifetime. And that is the epic, thrilling, and ultimately tragic saga of Jason and the Argonauts. It's a story that shows us that the line between hero and villain can be blurry, and that even the greatest adventures can have consequences that last a lifetime.